I'm Nick Chelon. I'm the former Chief Software Officer for the Air Force and Space Force. The valley of death for DoD is a massive impediment to ensure we can move at the pace of developments and have access to best-of-breed commercial companies. Let's take a look at the two things that would massively improve the chances for DoD programs to make it past the valley of death. First, I've been asking and proposing to mandate DevSecOps for any research and development project involving intensive software development. That will ensure that software is built properly with the right baked-in security, and more importantly, that it's continuously passing the continuous integration, continuous delivery pipeline so we can ship it in the hands of the warfighter multiple times a day, a week, a month, so they get access to it to give us feedback in real time. That will ensure that we're not building things in vacuum and can get rapid feedback, and not just in the lab, but in actual production, so we have access to real DoD data. Now, the second piece is actually pretty obvious. Any VC would actually do this naturally. Who wouldn't? We should have dedicated transition manager on the government side to help teams be showcasing their capability directly in front of DoD customers without having to chase after them. Every SBIR phase 2 at the minimum should get dedicated time by a government employee whose role will be to find and be the matchmaker to be able to map technology needs and technologies developed through the SBIR programs. I'm looking at you, AFWorks and SpaceWorks. It is so difficult for teams to find which DoD program is a good fit for their new technologies. Worse, they often need dedicated sales teams to be able to go after each program one at a time with no easy way to find the right point of contact and be in touch with them. The DoD should streamline all this and make it very easy for teams to find first who are the right potential fit, and more importantly, make introductions. Here's a good example. You have this application built by Crowdbotics, a local no-code platform that used their platform to build a very innovative training application for pilots. It's also using AI and machine learning to be able to look at training data in real time and be able to import it into their solution to then guide the pilots and trainers on what to improve so they can do better and move faster. This is even something that me, as a student pilot, would love benefiting from on something like my full flight. So Boeing, if you're listening, you should really take a look at this and contact them. Now, this is a perfect example of a SBIR phase 2 that was built within a few months, delivered in production with a great command and command ACC using it, but where the team is having a tough time now being able to transition this from this engagement to whatever comes next, potentially talking to dozens of teams with F-22, F-35, B-21, and more. Why wouldn't the government want to make sure that the taxpayer money invested into this program wouldn't be used to be able to scale and train as many pilots as possible? Plus, as you can see, this is a great fit on the commercial side as well. So this is a perfect example of what could be a very successful SBIR. Now, with this flight training debrief application, we can increase the quality of training, reduce the time to proficiency, but more importantly, use the deep data analysis of the sorties to enable this at scale and enable a broad operational improvement and risk reduction, which can be applied to many areas across DoD. This is just a great example of use of AI to augment the data we already have access to be able to implement better training capabilities. Take a look at the pilot proficiency tracker. This is a perfect example of use of AI looking at the data to see how the pilot is performing this ILS approach, looking at the glide slope and the localizer. The pilot readiness tracker is a perfect example of a great tool that's looking at the data to see how pilots are performing compared to their usual performances and see if there's any kind of drift that could be explained maybe by personal problems. It's also looking at how those pilots are performing among the rest of the group. This screen here is showing the average overview of a pilot's sorties and looking at maneuvers and maybe mistakes being made. Look at this screen here with the map capability that's able to see exactly the path of the jet, but more importantly, looking at the different phases of that flight by using AI/ML to detect the different approaches, ILS, and GPS approaches as well. Obviously, you don't have to be a genius to see that this could also be used for dogfights. Now, leaders at the Pentagon have been talking about going after the DoD Valley of Death. No more time for talks. It is time to take actions. Monday, DevSecOps implement transition managers from the government to ensure that transition can be made with proper introductions and streamlining the process for teams that don't have dedicated sales teams to go after DoD programs. This is not rocket science. This is actually common sense. You would never see a VC invest in a company and not proactively reach out to their networks to be able to make introductions. This is exactly the difference between smart money and dumb money. Enough with the dumb money. It's time for DoD to finally become smart money as well. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Click on that little bell to get notification for next videos. And we'll see you at the next video.